great to see so many different names and faces on the I know that some of you are very familiar with the organization. Some of you are new with the organization. We have some staff and dedicated volunteers, some board members on the call, and some people who may be engaging with Gilda's for the very first time today. So welcome to everybody all around. We are very excited to spend the next 55 minutes talking about our 6th annual West Side Walk for Gilda's. But I wanted to start with just a little bit of information about Gilda's Club, and we're also going to hear a program update from our president, Wendy, next too. But we're in our 20th year of serving the community, and we provide free cancer and grief support. And we've been working tirelessly during the pandemic to continue to do that. When we were operating before mid-March, we averaged about 250 programs a month for our mission to be able to meet the needs of our community. And we did that across all ages and demographics, and really wanted to work with not just the person that was diagnosed with cancer, but also their family and their support network, as well as doing a variety of grief programming too, and helping people navigate their grief journey. And that was grief due to any cause, not just cancer-related grief. So we have some specialized programs too that deal with traumatic grief. And prior to the school closings, we were working with some area schools too and doing in-school programming. So we provide a lot of this at our clubhouse. We were providing at our clubhouse on Bridge Street, a satellite clubhouse that we have in Lowell, as well as some partner organizations out in the community as well. So we are looking forward to getting a little program update from Wendy, but also just having you here as we launch into our 6th annual West Side Walk. Wendy J., I don't know if you're gonna share screen and we can put the PowerPoint up. Let's just take a minute here. So our walk is scheduled for Saturday, September 19th. And on our agenda today, we'll also talk a little bit about how that might look different in our current situation. But for now, we are planning on that date and planning to be able to follow local, state, and federal guidelines and what that might look like for our walk. So we're moving forward with that date of September 19th. And I'm pleased to share, next slide, Wendy, that we have some wonderful presenting sponsors back to help us put this walk on for the community. Betz Industries and Hansen Balk Steel are our 2020 presenting sponsors. Earlier this year, you may have seen the news that one of Gilda's Club founders, Deb Bailey, died from her cancer journey. And our presenting sponsors, Betz and Hansen Balk Steel, they reached out to us and said that they would very much like to support this year's event in honor of Deb. So that is a very special thing that we'll be working on, you know, as we prepare for the walk. And it was just really a wonderful tribute to Deb that these sponsors, they reached out to us and said, Deb Bailey has contributed so much for our community. Some of these sponsors, they worked with Deb on other boards as she had an impact across most of West Michigan. And it was just really touching when they said, hey, do you think that we can do the walk this year in honor of Deb? She was one of Gilda's Club co-founders alongside of Twink Fry and Susan Smith. And they were the ones who started what we have today, which is serving our community beautifully for those on a cancer and grief journey. So with that being said, I'm gonna hand it over to Wendy, and she's gonna just give a little update on what we've been up to the last couple months.
Yeah, last couple, I think we're going on almost 4. Thank you, Sean, and thank you everybody for tuning into this. I'll tell you, one thing we realize is cancer and grief never take a break. And Gilda's club quickly pivoted, and it was March 13th, Friday the 13th, if I need to call out for anybody as a reminder, that the governor really put a stop to a lot of what was happening in Michigan. And for us that weekend, what was happening was about to happen was our signature event with Jeff Foxworthy. So we quickly pivoted, and we have some of our awesome program team on here. I know Melissa's going to talk in a moment too, but it was a collective team effort, and it was really done because of you helping us in so many ways, whether you're a volunteer, a board member, a member that's going to help participate in West Side Walk. It was really, we could feel the support from the community, even though we were working virtually. And what we were able to do in the last few months here has been that from a virtual standpoint, we got everybody up and going on gently used Surface Pros, to be honest with you. That was something that was also a quick pivot for us. But since that time, we've been able to deliver about 310 support groups and educational opportunities, and that's resulted with over 1,730 service contacts, which continues to grow. And our weekly program, Facebook Live, has also reached over 23,700 people, which is just amazing. What's also been amazing has been the people that we've been able to connect with or reconnect with in terms of new members. So the fact that our physical clubhouse is not open doesn't mean that we're not still serving new people. We are getting people coming to new member meetings, and they're oftentimes saying, I'm looking forward to seeing some of you in person when the clubhouse does physically reopen. But we actually had one that comes to mind is somebody that was in Texas, that was a former member who had moved after her husband had died of his cancer diagnosis, and she was now experiencing a journey with her 20-plus-year-old son who was in his cancer journey. And she was kind of like, hey, I remember being told once a member of Gilda's club, you're always welcomed. And she was welcomed. And that was somebody that we could be able to bring back in and serve through our support groups as well. So we've been awfully busy. I think some people I've been jealous of some people saying that they're bored and don't know what to do. I can promise you this team is not in that camp. So we've been thrilled to be able to shift virtually so quickly. And we anticipate continuing to do some of our program virtually even after we look forward to reopening, because we have had enough feedback where people have said, I've appreciated this option. I may be too ill or too far away to be able to physically travel to the clubhouse. So we are looking for a way to continue some form of our virtual program after we even reopen. And we've had a lot of questions about, well, when is that? And I'll be honest, I am not one that had the opportunity to listen to our governor at 11, I think it was 11:30, she was doing a new announcement. So one thing we know is that shift happens, and that life changes, and as Gilda would say, it's always something. So we are going to continue to evaluate what happens and how we safely and healthfully reopen over time. And we will lag behind other businesses because we know that health is precious, and we want to do everything that we can to preserve the wellness of our community, especially so many that are immunocompromised. So earlier in June, one of the things that we did is we sent a survey out to our members. We sent a survey out to volunteers to kind of learn how they're feeling in returning in person. And we surveyed our team as well. And if you took one of those surveys, I want to thank you, because it's been very instrumental as we continue to move forward and taking the steps to move eventually to gradually rolling open the clubhouse in the safe and appropriate way as we go forward. So we've identified some steps at Gilda's Club to help us in the reopening. That is, It's hard to put a timeline on that. We know it will not be July, and it may not be in August, but we're continuing to look at how do we do that in a safe and effective manner. And we are monitoring the Kent County COVID recommendation statistics as well as the government. The other thing I think you might find interesting that might not be apparent, but there is a Gilda's Club Detroit, and there's another organization in Ann Arbor. And our three organizations have been in bi-weekly dialogue of, well, what's happening on the east side of the state, what's happening in the middle, and what's happening here. And while we may be different, we're also very conscientious of we're all being under the same state guidelines. And so that is something that we continue to monitor as well. So look for information in your inbox as we continue to announce more reopening steps and other safety considerations as what our organization is taking. These are going to include masks. These are going to include limiting the number of people in the clubhouse and frequent cleaning and sanitizing and so much more for both our volunteers, our team, and of course for the members that we serve. And I want to just say again, thank you. Truly, your support is needed more than ever in this time of uncertainty. So, you know, if you're joining us with West Side Walk for the first time, or if it's the millionth time, although I know we haven't had that many walks yet, I just want to say thank you, because we are a community that's in this together, both at Gilda's Club as a team of volunteers and individuals on the staff, and you matter a lot. So thank you. And I think I turned it back over now to Melissa.
Yeah, my computer heard my name and told me to unmute. I'm amazed at technology, I'm telling you. All right, well, thank you so much, Wendy. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hannah, for organizing this, and Sean, and everyone that's on the call. This is a really great opportunity to be here. This is one of my absolute favorite events that we do. I love that our community comes together, staff and members and other people in the community come together, and we just really get a chance to celebrate Gilda's Club and what we do. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Melissa Budzinski, and I've been on program staff for, I think it's going to be 10 years this year. And I have the privilege of being able to speak with you today and working with the members and working with these wonderful people. Really, it's a great place to work. I want to say that I am speaking, I feel like I'm speaking for myself, but I also want to say I'm speaking for the program staff in general, because I think that we all, the things I'm going to say, that we all feel. And I know that we often talk about our perspective on what a privilege it is to work at Gilda's Club. And that is what I want to say. It's such a privilege to walk with our members on their grief or their cancer journey, and sometimes both. That it's really quite an honor to hear the stories, to be together with them, to watch. It's such a pleasure to watch these relationships grow and support one another. In a couple of groups, we were talking about the members that weren't in that group, and they were like, oh, I texted them earlier and I talked with them, and how people make this connection at Gilda's Club and then they take it into their own personal life. And it's happening just all the time. And I just, it's such an honor to watch that develop and to be a part of that process. So, and then I've come to the walk to celebrate with members, but also in honor and in tribute of the people in my life that have died and have cancer or have had cancer. And I feel like I'm a doer, and so I feel like it's a small thing I can do to honor those people in my life, and really appreciate that opportunity. A couple of my favorite things at the walk are we have a big wall And actually, I think that wall is 20 years old, honestly. And so it's really cool. And there are these squares, and people come in and they can decorate a square in honor of themselves and their survivorship, or in honor of their person who died. And often in that moment, they share their story with us. And I often meet people that I don't necessarily come in contact with on a daily basis at the clubhouse. Maybe they're in a different group or something, or on a different day that I don't work. And so I get to hear their story of why they're at the West Side Walk. And then we get to see this visual representation of their, the reason they're there, and what matters to them in their life. And I just really, really enjoy that a lot, enjoy that process. And then the other thing that I really love is that often the groups will band together and create teams. So I facilitate the breast cancer support group, and they call themselves the Breast Buddies. And they made a sign for themselves, and they all walk together and they create this team, and they have a lot of camaraderie and a lot of fun, and they raise wonderful amounts of money, and they enjoy so much that opportunity to give back. Often our members talk about that, and we really urge them to lean into the program, get the support, and there'll be plenty of time to give back when they want. And this is that opportunity. And so they really just take ownership of that. And it's just fun to watch. The colorectal group, they're hilarious. They walk with these shorts on. I'm not going to describe them, but it's just really fun. And so it's really a great opportunity for both members and for staff to celebrate Gilda's Club, to come together and to raise some money and support it. And I love that the funds that we raise here stay right at our clubhouse, right here in West Michigan. And so they, members can see it right at work, right there. So that's why I walk. And a couple other, I just want to say a couple quotes. I did ask the rest of the staff if they wanted to say anything. And Sandy said she walks because she loves the members, and raises funds because she wants this program and this community to continue. She believes so strongly in it. And Beth Ellen says that she walks in honor of the people in her life that either have died or have cancer. And Doris says she walks because in honor of those people who aren't on the earth any longer, but that are in her heart. So I know that we all believe strongly in our mission and our purpose, and we feel a great honor to sit in those rooms and to listen to the stories. And we're so grateful to all you members and board members that are part of this process. So thanks, that's all I have.
Thanks, Melissa, so much for sharing. And I wanted to say, echo something you said at the end. Whether you're a member or a board member or just a community supporter, what you do at the walk and the funds you raise help us keep our program going. And for some of the people who come, the walk might be their only point of contact with Gilda's Club, but they might still share their story when they're adding to our memory wall. So even though it's not a long connection, it helps us really provide support in that small way, and a day that we are definitely in this together. I'm going to take a quick minute and share my screen, and it might lag for a minute. But what I'm going to do is walk you through, if you haven't registered yet, how you can register for the walk this year. The easiest way, if you've ever received an email from us about the walk, is to look up one of those emails and click the link that says register. What that does is it remembers your email address and password you created when the first time you walked, and it'll log you into our system. So you don't have to remember, what password did I use this time? That's something I always struggle with. So when you go to our website, if this is the first time you walked, or you click that link, it'll take you to our West Side Walk website, which you can also find at gildasclubgr.org/walk. What you're going to want to do is click register, and that will take you, oops, I'm going to quickly, I've already registered for this walk and I pre-did this, but it's not liking what I did. So let me quickly try this a different way, because today I'm pretending to be my sister with her permission so that I can register her for the walk and walk you through the steps. So what we're going to do after you click register is it will take you to this page. You can register for yourself or others. And what you'll do right here is just select who's walking with you right now. This year it's going to look a little different, which we'll talk about more later. There is a fundraiser only virtual walker option, which if you know you're not going to be able to join us on walk day in any form, you can select that. If you're not sure, you can pick whatever. We're not holding you to whatever you choose right now. But my sister Molly is over 18, so we're going to say she's one adult walker. And then she's registering for herself. So in the next step, I click that. And then it'll take me to this page. You'll notice highlighted in yellow is this questionnaire that we really ask that you click. What it does is it gives us some really good information, like if you earn a t-shirt, which we'll talk about in a minute, but everybody who raises $100 earns a t-shirt. What size is it? So we can make sure we order one. And then we also have just a waiver that says that you're able to walk if you join us on walk day. And we ask that you write agree and click continue. Then I click next step. And it is as easy as that. What I'm going to do is actually go to my profile, because once you finish registering, it'll send you here and ask you to pick a team to join. What we want to do is we really encourage you to update your walk page and find others to walk with you. We've used the term team. And what that means is you have a group of people that you'd like to participate with you or virtually rally together. Why don't you form a team? All it does really is combine your efforts so you can see what your group has raised as a total. It also lets you name your group if you want to do it in honor of somebody and write a little description for your group page. So my team's name is called the Dayton Family and Friends Team. So that's all set up. You can also add a short name right here, which will create a vanity URL that you can send people that sends them straight to your team name. You can set a team fundraising goal, a size. Let's say you are a part of a support group that hasn't participated before. And you say, you know what, I would like 3 people in our support group to join. I can set that goal. And let's say that I want us to raise $200 or each earn our shirt, so $300. I can update that all here. And then you have an opportunity to enter your team story and add pictures. And what's great about this is it really shares with people who find your page why you're walking and why Gilda's Club is important to you. So what I'm going to do and show you how easy it is, I'm going to actually update my personal page. So you can see here, teams have a page created for them, and everybody who walks, if they so choose, also has a page, which helps us track donations. So you'll see that I've got a $750 personal fundraising goal, but I haven't updated my page. So right now it just says that I'm walking for the West Side Walk. So I have pre-written something that I'm going to type in. You can edit it in here and type it in here, but for the sake of our meeting today, I pre-wrote it. And so I wrote why I'm walking as a staff member and what I've kind of seen during this pandemic, the importance of our programs and services continuing, which the West Side Walk helps us do. So I've pasted that in there, and I'm also going to select an image, which I have right here. And this you can also do on a phone, but it's easier on a desktop if you have access to one. You'll see that the image I picked, this is the space that they're showing right now. So I need to drag carefully and resize what I would like to show. So I'm just gonna space it the right way and click save. Uh-oh. Oh, you know what? I actually uploaded this earlier today. So I wonder if the fact that I did that is not letting me do it because I was testing it. So I'm gonna pick a different picture right now of Gilda at our clubhouse earlier this year and click save. Huh. Well, this is, of course, is happening when we're doing this live with you all, which is often the way when we're trying to do stuff. If this happens to you and you're not sure what will work, please feel free to give us a call and we will troubleshoot it. Right now, let's pretend that it uploaded. And I will go back, maybe I need to rename the image or change what format it is. If you give us a call, we'll walk through all the steps that we do to help fix that with you. So let's assume there's a picture here. And then I have to go all the way to the bottom and click save. One thing I want to show you right now, technology today is just killing me. One thing that I want, let me quickly go to a different screen and get this to save. I appreciate your patience as we all deal with technology and things not quite working. This is a good opportunity for me to say, if you've already registered and you haven't updated your profile but want to, when you go to the West Side Walk page and you're logged in, it's a little counterintuitive, but you have to click register again. And that takes you back to this page where you can update all this information. So I'm going to paste really quickly in here my story one more time. And then I'll point out while we're here that I can add a welcome message to anybody who joins my team. And then I can also add a message that people will get when they donate to my page. And I can personalize it a little bit. I can also choose to send a donation alert so I get emailed every time a donation is made. Or I can say, I don't want to be on the website. I don't want a personal page, in which case you'll still have it, but only you will be able to see it or the person you send a link to. So if you choose to not be public, you can click this. We encourage you to remain public because it makes it easier for people to find you. If you perhaps email the link, but they came to the website directly, they might not be able to. So I've made all these changes and I click save. It will now go there. So right now you can see that this picture has been updated. If I had been able to upload a picture, that would be right here. And it's a great way to help share your story. And it's one of our top fundraising tips, which I'm going to turn over to Sean, who is going to share a little bit more about.
Thanks, Hannah. Wendy J, can you share the PowerPoint, please? It always is something, as Gilda would say. I warned Hannah that I was helping our colleague Daryl update his walk fundraising page this morning, and it was giving me a few issues too, and I did finally get it to work, but I said, gosh, I hope that doesn't happen at noon, and here we are, just practicing our patience as we're all doing during this time. I'm going to spend just a couple minutes. We certainly have covered a lot of information in 30 minutes, and I know it probably feels like we're talking a lot, at you. And I just wanted to maybe give some helpful fundraising tips, because this can seem very overwhelming for somebody, especially if it's your first time ever participating in what is known as a peer-to-peer fundraising event. And some of our staff team have been working on peer-to-peer fundraising events for many, many years, and we have a lot of veterans. And I always challenge us to kind of dial it back to what was it like for the first time. And I know for myself, first time participating in 1997 in a peer-to-peer fundraising event, I was what we call $0 walkers. I was told to show up somewhere, and I did, and I didn't donate. And I learned very quickly after that why it is awesome to gather people. This is one of our top fundraising things for our mission, and why we welcome everybody to participate. We definitely want folks to know that it's a way for you to participate at whatever level is comfortable for you. And the coolest thing about West Side Walk for Gildas is it really is small gifts that add up amongst all of us to make a huge impact. So why we have amazing presenting sponsors and people who are coming out and helping the walk, it really is those $5 gifts, and things that people have done that really adds up on the back end to make it exciting and to watch that number kind of increase. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you would do this and some fundraising best practices, tips, and tricks. And to kick that off, next slide, Wendy, please. I am just so thrilled to announce to everybody today that our friends at Lake Michigan Credit Union are matching the first $10,000 raised by our West Side Walk participants. So right now, that is a super way to kickstart your fundraising, is to let people know that dollars are going to be matched right now for the first $10,000 for this event. So with that, here are some tips. Next slide. First one is to set a goal. And I think Hannah alluded to this when she talked about your webpage. And the goal can be anything. I mean, we have walkers who really strive to earn their t-shirt at $100. You can get your official West Side Walk t-shirt. We have people who want to raise $50. We have people who want to raise $1,000. The important thing is to set a goal so you can kind of talk about that when you reach out to people, what that looks like. And it helps you kind of keep track on what you're striving for. Some other things people have done that I've seen that have been really creative is also maybe a number that's important to you. It could be how many years you might be in remission of your cancer. We had somebody last year also that set a goal. I probably won't get it exactly right, but there was a date in August that was her last chemo appointment. And so she set a goal of like August 13 or something like that, $813 to honor that last day of chemo. So just kind of give that some thought and what a meaningful goal might be for you. And that's a way to get started. Next slide. We really encourage our walkers to start by making a self-donation. It is a fundraising best practice that if you're going to ask others to support Gilda's, the very first thing you might do is to make that first donation yourself. And again, that can look in any way, shape, any dollar amount. I know for me personally, sometimes I'll make a smaller donation to get started, and then I kind of see how my fundraising's going, and I might make some additional donations along the way in smaller dollar amounts if I have a larger amount that I know that I'm going to get to at the end. But if you really start with that self-donation, it helps people know this is important to you as well before you're asking other people to give to the organization. It helps lead by example. The next one, Hannah talked a little bit about this, and that's to share your story, why it's important, why you are walking for Gilda's. And that really is, different for everybody. Just today, I'll share, we also have a golf outing on August 24 that was rescheduled from May. And we received a new foursome for that event. And I had been trying to track this business owner down to say, how'd you hear about us? What made you decide to support Gilda's this year? After I checked with our golf committee and people to say, hey, did you get this person to golf? How'd this guy come to be? And after playing phone tag for a little bit, I was able to connect and hear from him that his wife is a breast cancer survivor and that somebody in his company passed our golf outing event on to him to say, hey, this is something you might want to do. And so that's why he's going to be there. And those are the stories that Melissa shared, that sometimes the West Side Walk might be somebody's only point of contact with Gilda's. And we talk a lot about meeting members or meeting the community where they're at and when it's time. We're on our members' time frame or when they want to come to the clubhouse for the first time. We've often heard stories that walking through our red door is some of the hardest decisions, to make. And we've had people who've been to our parking lot and haven't been able to come inside, or they've come inside the third time, that they show up. And walk is a really good way to let people know there's an organization in town that really wants to make sure that people are not on a cancer or grief journey alone. And so we share our story, and that will help people contribute to you as well. Next slide. And if you don't ask, you don't get any gifts. So we really, there's tools on the webpage that can help you send emails out to people to share your story and let them know that you're walking in West Side Walk. Social media has been a big piece of that too. And I know it can be scary to ask people for money, especially right now when we know that there may be people out of work and some finances, may be a little tougher. What I would say is to let people make the decision on whether they can give to you or not, and try not to make that decision for them, because we know that cancer and grief touches everybody, and there's someone out there that is thinking about a loved one or someone in their life, and they will be honored to donate to you in any way, in honor and memory of someone, and it means a lot for them too. So I would say not to take that opportunity away, that people generally want to give and want to support. So we gotta put the ask out there, and don't underestimate that power of that ask, because you're going to be quite surprised at what comes out of that. And then next is to just engage your community, your tribe, your neighbors, whatever that looks like for you. And people have done that in a variety of fashions. They've asked friends to, hey, would you be willing to give up your Starbucks this week and donate it to me for Gilda's Club West Side Walk instead? Would you do a pop can drive? Those were really big right now, right? Where people are not wanting to hassle with taking care of their pop cans. That's a good way right now. If anybody's a little leery, I bet if you go to a couple neighbors' house, they'll give you your pop cans for Gilda's Club. One thing that I've done too is, get my own child to donate, from his allowance, whatever that amount is. And that does kind of, for better or worse, really get other people on social media. Hey, my kid's giving $10 to Gilda's, who can match that $10? And that's been quite successful too. So kind of looking at those ways to what you might do to be creative. We had a member a couple years ago that was part of a bowling league that walked up and down all the alleys at the bowling alley, collecting $1 and $2 bills, $1 and $2 from several people. And again, I just can't stress enough that it's the small donations that add up to make a really big impact. And we welcome creativity. We will share tips along the way to help people be more creative, but it's really exciting right now that our first $10,000 is going to be matched for the event, and we just encourage people to get out there. If you set up a fundraising page on Facebook and we are aware of it, we're able to, once those donations come through, we're able to log those on to your personal website that you have for West Side Walk too, so those can all be tracked in the same place. I know we had a lot of participants last year kind of dip their toe in that Facebook fundraising, and it was really successful for people too. So we have some incentives that we'll be doing along the way. We've talked a little bit about the $100 and the t-shirt. We will also do something at $250 and $500 too for our walkers. So lots of fun things going on, and I'm happy to help. I know our team is happy to help in whatever way to help to allow you to be the most successful. We have wonderful groups of volunteers and people who can do that with you. So that is what I have. I'll turn it back to Hannah.
Thanks, Sean. Those are some really great tips. And one of the things we wanted to talk to you about also during this call is, what is WALK going to look like this year? Which is a question we've got from a lot of people. And if we're being honest, we don't know quite yet. What we're doing, though, is hoping to remain nimble. We will, of course, meet all state and state regulations, Kent County regulations on gatherings of size, and take precautions if we are able to gather in person, which we hope to do. And it will probably look different. There'll still be things that we really love and elements there that might be kind of shifted, but we're hoping to have our wall in some capacity. It might mean that you bring a brick that we put up instead of being able to decorate it there. We will have to social distance and make sure that we're 6 feet apart. But we want to make it sure that everybody knows that you can always engage at your own comfort level. We want you and your team to do that, feel empowered to do that. We know that people are making personal choices all the time about when to engage and when not to engage. And what we would encourage you to do is, if you're not comfortable coming in person, we would still like you to bring the West Side Walk, to participate in the West Side Walk. If you are able to come, we will share more as we go on, but it will involve wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart from people who are not in your household. It might involve having a time that you sign up for. So instead of us all being together at once, we might be able to do a couple of times that you can sign up for, so we can control the size gathering. We're still figuring out details, and September 19th is far enough away that it could change before then. So we're still figuring that stuff out, but we want you to know that you can always engage at your comfort level. If we're allowed to, but you don't feel comfortable coming in person, that's okay. We would encourage you to bring the West Side Walk home and take it all around West Michigan. We know that our supporters come from all over West Michigan, and that we're thrilled to that. We're thrilled to have you join us in whatever capacity. What that might mean is, on September 19th, you go for a walk around your own neighborhood. Or if you are comfortable with gathering with other team members, maybe you guys pick a park or decide to walk at your own homes at a time that's meaningful for you. We will, the week of the walk, have a contactless pickup bank day, where you can drop off any funds you've raised and pick up any earned incentives like your t-shirt, so you'll still be able to wear that with pride and share why you're walking. We'll also have we're working on a special tools for people who want to remain virtual or distance. So even if you can't join us on walk day, or you're not sure about it, it's okay. You're able to engage at whatever comfort level you feel best at. And there's still ways that you can help support us and help raise awareness in your own community. One of our key taglines, as you know, is "We are in this together." So we're just so happy that you're in this with us and sharing with us, even if it might look a little bit different this year. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Sean to kind of close us out.
Sure, thanks, Hannah. And Wendy J, if you'll put the slide up. We are just so pleased that we're able to be nimble and be able to provide this opportunity in whatever fashion that looks like on September 19th. So we're grateful that not all events translate well to being able to do this, and our team is dedicated to providing that opportunity should we be able to do that for people to gather, because we know that by doing that, it's just very meaningful for people to be able to have that space to honor and remember members, people in their family, the community, people who've been on those cancer and grief journeys. We've all been affected by cancer, grief, and it's a pretty powerful moment. So we're grateful that we're going to be able to do that and put some good things in place. And we truly are in this together, and we are here to help you be successful. We're here to help you, get to know Gilda's more if that's what you would like to do. And we're looking forward to a really great event. So I think that we could do are there any questions in the chat box, Hannah, as we kind of wrap up this last 10 minutes together? We can open it up for some questions.
Yeah, we had some questions about some images that we're happy to share. If there's specific ones, you can also always check our Facebook page from pictures of last year's event, where a lot of those photos are. One question that someone asked is, what might we say on our welcome page? Maybe can we have an example? Did you want to answer that, Sean?
Sure. So, and I think a good point of clarity that I did want to emphasize that gets confused sometimes is, if you're a team, if you have a team, there's a team page and there's the individual pages, and they all roll up for the team total. So for example, we have a staff team at Gilda's, and we have some staff members like Hannah who have separate teams with their families, but we also have a catch-all staff team. And those staff members, their contributions roll up to the total for the team, just like Hannah and her siblings and her parents might roll up, for the total for her amount. So that question comes up a lot. And what you want to share on your landing page is really why you're doing this. And I'm going to call out Daryl today, just because I was helping him with his landing page, and he shared why, being at Gilda's 8 years as a staff person, why he feels it's important to fundraise for Gilda's and what he wants to accomplish for that. So what you want to do is just really share your why, whatever that looks like. And it can also change, and allow yourself that if you're having trouble right now in this moment thinking of how to say that, you can simply say, I believe in the work that Gilda's is doing, and I'm walking to support their mission. It's as simple as that. And if you have more of a story to tell, prior to joining the staff team at Gilda's, it wasn't West Side Walk, it was the Funderwear Run during Laugh Fest that I participated in, honor of my uncle who was on a cancer journey. So for me, I just shared on that particular landing page, that I was running, for Gilda's Club and through Laugh Fest to raise money for their mission. And that's to provide free cancer and grief support, and why that was important to me while he was on that cancer journey. So it really is personal. If you don't change anything on your pages, it does autofill with photos from last year's walk and autofills that you're walking to support Gilda's. So, we want to share that personal story, but don't feel like overwhelmed by that piece. Certainly don't let that be a barrier.
That's great. Some other questions we had were, how do I set something up on my Facebook page, from Terry? And that's a great question, Terry. We have some information that we'll send out. We do coaching emails where it helps people update their page or use other resources. So we'll have one talking about Facebook fundraisers and how to set it up. And I can send that to you earlier with a step-by-step instruction. But if you've ever created a Facebook fundraiser, all you have to do is select Gilda's Club Grand Rapids as the person that you want to receive the funds, and make sure when you're updating the description there, and it could match what you have on your personal webpage, so you don't have to rewrite it, but make sure it mentions the West Side Walk so that we know that that's what you wanted your donations to go to. We also encourage you to make it public so it's easy for us and others to see. and be able to give to you. I did one for my birthday earlier this year, and I had a friend of a friend who I don't know happened to donate to me because he knew Gilda's Club, and I was the first person, I guess, who he'd come across that had asked him. So that's always kind of exciting, and we'll share those specific instructions out with you. There was also a question from Laura about adding a photo to your personal page and doing an awkward crop, which I can definitely feel you, Laura. There is a 2 megabyte limit on the website. If you have, not everybody will have image resizing software on their phone. We would suggest that you Google image resizing. I use sometimes imageresizer.com, which you're able to upload a picture and then they'll make it smaller. They'll make it less, it's a little less high res, but it makes it small enough that you can upload it. And because the picture is small on our website, you won't be able to tell the difference. But I'm happy to share some other instructions with that as well. And yes, we will send the Facebook information out to everybody. Those, I think, were all the questions I saw in the chat. If anybody wants to unmute, you can, of course, ask questions in real time. Oh, someone had a question about dogs.
So we do welcome dogs. Gilda had Sparkle, her dog. We just ask that you clean up after them and that they're on a leash. Mm-hmm. And you know your own dog, so you know how well your dog's going to be in that crowd. Good question.
Okay. If anyone else has questions, feel free to chime in. We'll give it like 1 more minute. And if nobody else has any questions, we do have that we wanted to share with you a mission video that we put together last year, sharing a little bit more about the impact that the funds we raise at Walk and all year round make for our members.
When you first come here, though, you're real fragile. You're even scared. What if I encounter something that I'm not ready for? Honestly, the first couple times I came here, I sat in the parking lot and drove away when I came as a member. When I finally walked in the door and went up to a group and saw other people walking in my shoes, that fear went away, and then we were able to talk.
In mid-September of 2015, my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and then November 7th, she died from that cancer. We had been married 34 years, and I knew I just needed to get some kind of support.
2 years ago, my dad died. I was having a hard time finding someplace that could help him. I brought him to counseling, but the counselor didn't know how to deal with the autism aspect of helping him, and so then I brought him to an autism advocate, and they didn't know how to deal with the grief. And I didn't know that Gilda's had, I thought it was only for cancer.
Right after getting out of the hospital, I came here because I knew this would be a good place to come to help me through the process of everything. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I had 6 months of chemo and 1 month of radiation. When you first come in and you start talking about it, it's hard not to cry. It's really emotional. It's hard. It's really hard to wonder where your life is going.
My cancer journey, just like I believe everybody else, and it's pretty safe to say that it is a road of self-discovery. My journey began when I was diagnosed with cancer. It was September the 26th, 2012. You're a survivor. The minute you discover that you have cancer, you're a survivor. And that begins your journey.
You know, you keep shifting into a new normal. The water gets higher and you raise your head above the water. It got to the point where I didn't know how to do that on my own anymore.
Because I had preconceived notions of what Gilda's Club was. You know, there were a bunch of people who would sit in a dark circle, crying and moaning and groaning, and it is so much more than that. There was a sense of community, and from the very minute I walked in that door, I felt that sense of community.
In terms of the grief journey, saying it out loud it's a release.
Gilda's Club is helping me a lot because I can talk to people easier. I feel happy now because Gilda's Club is the best place for grief and cancer support.
Well, at first I just thought, well, I'll bring him to help him, and I didn't even know they had a adult group for myself. So when we had our orientation, she said, give it 4 tries and see if you like it, and if you don't, then you don't have to continue to go. He liked it right away. My first visit, I was a little nervous, but once I got done with that first visit, I haven't stopped coming since. I look forward to it. He looks forward to it, and
Yeah.
if we miss, he gets upset. So.
As far as a resource for Grand Rapids, and I mentioned it before, that this group of people came together and said, we need this in Grand Rapids. Way back in 2000, this place was created where you don't have to be alone. You don't have to go home and be by yourself. You can walk in here and other people understand what you're going through, and other people will talk to you, and other people will put their arm around you. As a resource to this community, it's amazing. It's free. I'm overwhelmed by it.
Actually, I was getting him ready for hockey the other day, hockey practice, and he looked at me and said, because I have Gilda's, I'll never be alone. And that just melted my heart.
That's a wrap.
Just wanted to say thank you so much for you giving of your time today and joining us to learn more about the walk. And if there's any way our staff can help get you registered or learn more about the walk, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can call the clubhouse. There's somebody answering phones, I think through 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday and through noon on Fridays, that can help direct your call to the right place. And that number is 616-453-8300.